Hello, friends. My name is Ngum. Welcome to Ngum's Garden Possibilities. If this is your first time on this channel, welcome. We're happy to have you here. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting and for sharing all your gardening knowledge in the comment section. It has been a while since I posted, but I am glad to be back. Can you believe that it's already almost spring? We're getting close to planting season when we need to nurse our seeds indoors. Today, I am planning to start my sweet pepper and hot pepper seeds. It's recommended that you start your seeds 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. I am in zone 4B in Minnesota, and our projected last frost date is sometime second week of May. Usually I add about a week or more after the last frost date just to be very sure that the weather will be okay for my pepper plants because they don't like the freezing temperatures, and in Minnesota the weather can change by the second. So we are going to start our pepper seeds here today. I have some potting mix that I have already moistened, and you moisten it such that it's not dripping wet but wet enough to activate the seeds so they can start growing. You can also use seed starting mix, and you get that from your local garden center, Home Depot or Menards. And the reason for that is to ensure that the seed starting mix doesn't have big chunks like this that will prevent the seeds from growing. The next thing that you need is a container in which to plant to nurse your seeds. Here, the container I'm using is a recycled container. I had some croissants in this container, and that's what I'm using. And the reason for that is because it has a lid that would serve as a greenhouse for the seeds when they are starting to germinate. If you have planting trays or seed starting trays with holes in them for drainage, that's also perfect too. You could also use aluminum trays that are used to serve food, and you create some holes in it for drainage, and you can use that too. So use whatever you have and get creative. I am going to plant some seeds that I saved from last year, as well as some other seeds that I purchased from different companies. I have seeds from different seed companies here: MI Gardener, Baker Creek. Again, this video is not sponsored. I just happen to like the seed companies I've used in the past because I've had good germination rates. I also have seeds that I saved from last year, being sure to label what seed is in there and when I saved the seed. So we'll go ahead and start. My seed medium is ready to go. The first pepper we're going to grow, I'm going to start by growing the sweet peppers. This is a Chinese giant, and I just love this red pepper because it's very prolific and it produces large fruit. So I grew this last year and it was really a great harvest. All right, so I'm going to make a hole here, and I'll put 2 seeds in each hole. We're planting them about a 1/4 inch deep. That's all you need. No more, no deeper than that. So I'll just keep going until I have 2 seeds in each hole. And even if you don't use all the seeds, that's okay. You just need to store them in a cool, dry place, and you can reuse them another time. Just so I know exactly what I planted and where I planted it, I'll make sure that I label my seeds as I go. So I am using a garden marker that doesn't bleach when it's exposed to the sun, so your labels won't fade away. There's my label. The next pepper I have here is the giant Marconi. So these are seeds that I saved from last year, but I kept the old seed packet that has the growing instructions on it and the picture of what to expect, just as a guide for me. So that's another way to save on your gardening budget. Cut down your gardening budget by learning how to save your own seeds. Again, we're going a 1/4 inch deep, 2 per hole. This pepper is great for roasting, stuffing. It's a sweet pepper. Our next pepper variety is King of the North. It's very prolific in the northern parts of the US per the seed packet. I planted this last year and it produces a lot of fruit. This is a red sweet pepper. It's great for stuffing. If you were to make like a stuffed bell pepper, this is a great pepper to use. I'm using this pencil to create the holes. Those are our seeds. 2 per hole, 1/4 inch deep. Here's our next pepper variety, Ozark Giant. Like the name says, it produces giant fruits and it's very prolific. I grew this last year. The reason I'm doing 2 per hole is so that I can ensure that at least one of the seeds would grow, and depending on which one looks healthier, then I can thin it out once they grow bigger and put them in bigger pots that can accommodate the roots and the entire plant as it continues to grow. So even though I'm starting them in this container, they are not going to stay here all through their growing season inside. Our next pepper is a big Jim pepper. It's another long red pepper. If you notice, I just love growing different varieties of peppers. I don't stick to just the typical ones that you would find in the grocery store. And that's the benefit of being able to find seeds and start your own peppers indoors. You have the option of growing varieties that you wouldn't necessarily find in the grocery store. So that's a challenge. To push yourself a little bit so you can learn a new skill and grow some new varieties of tomatoes, peppers, or whatever you want to plant that you wouldn't typically find in the grocery store or at your garden center if you were to buy plants. Plus, it's also cheaper. Here's our next variety, Zulu pepper. It's a sweet pepper. So I just love the variety of colors again. Imagine if you're doing a stir fry with a variety of colors of peppers. That's just so inviting, and it just invites you and stirs up your appetite. Our next variety is this striped sweet pepper. I got this from a grocery store at I think about 2 years ago, and it has yellow and green stripes on it. I just love the way it looked, so I saved the seeds and I've been planting that ever since. This one is halfway. There we go. Here's another monster bell pepper variety. I just got it from our local garden center, and I'm trying this for the first time this year. So let me know in the comment section if you are starting your own peppers or if you're buying them, the seedlings, if you're planning to buy the seedlings from a garden center, and what kind of varieties you are growing. It's always exciting to see what other people are growing. Our next variety, it's a candy cane pepper, and I just love the way it looks. It has stripes of green and yellow, red and yellow, almost like an ornament on a Christmas tree. We have our purple beauty. It's a purple bell pepper. Again, more colors, just more attractive to me. It's a sweet bell pepper. Actually, I have seeds here from last year. And then we have this albino pepper. Actually have seeds that I saved from last year. If you have never grown your pepper plants from seed before, it's quite easy and it's exciting, when you actually succeed. That will encourage you to grow other things. So I encourage you to really consider doing that if you haven't grown your own peppers before. I think if you were to buy your starts from local garden center, that's great, but it's more cost efficient and you have more variety when you do yours. I have a coral regular bell pepper that we typically see in the grocery store, just more color. I think most of the ones I have planted are red or purple. I haven't planted anything orange. And with bell peppers, you can plant them in containers. If you don't have a big space, you can plant them in the ground. You don't need a lot of space to grow bell peppers. Wow, more color. Did you know there were so many colors you could get from bell peppers? We have a chocolate sweet pepper here. Sweet banana pepper. Pepper blood. I love this because of the colors. This is a great stuffing pepper. It produces huge fruit and very prolific. I'm going to cover each hole. Remember, I already moistened the potting mix, so you don't want to make this too soggy to the point where your seeds start getting rotten. Then they won't germinate. Once all of this is done, I'm going to put it on a heat mat to speed up germination. And once I see the first sprouts from the peppers, I'll take it off the heat mat and put it under my grow lights. I'll bring you along in the process so you see how that is being done. Basically, that's how you start your seeds indoors. If you don't have a heat mat, that is okay. Just put it in a warm place in your house. For example, you could put it over a heating vent or close to a heating vent, and that should provide sufficient heat to warm up the soil. Or you could put it near a warm window, any warm part of your house, over a dryer or on top of a freezer. That could also work. Once they germinate, then put them under grow lights. It's not sufficient to use lights from your window or lights from the sun because that's not enough. It will make seedlings to be leggy, they won't be healthy, and they'll be straining and trying to grow towards the light. So you really want to use a grow light so you have strong, healthy seedlings that grow big and eventually you can transplant them. Now, if I wasn't sure that I had moistened this appropriately, then I will use a spray bottle just to spray on top to moisten the seeds, because if you use a high pressured system to water this, it might displace the seeds since they are not planted very deep. Again, notice that I've labeled which seeds I have, and then once the seedlings sprout, which should happen for most of these within 2 to 3 weeks. So check your soil often to make sure it's not dry, but it's not too moist either, so you know exactly when to put them under grow lights. And there you have it. That's how you start your pepper seeds indoors. This will just act as a greenhouse dome. I'll leave a little bit of an opening in the front so there's some ventilation, but that's how this is going to work. It would prevent the soil from drying out really fast since it's going to be sitting on a heating mat. Now we will move on with planting our hot peppers. I have some seeds that I saved from last year. This one is a yellow Scotch bonnet pepper, very nice flavor. And then we have Carolina Reaper here. I have some dry pepper pods that I saved from last year. I'll plant a few. And then I have the Caribbean orange hot pepper. Red habanero hot pepper. And then we have the chocolate habanero seeds that I saved from last year. So let's go ahead and plant. I've used this pen to create holes into the soil 1/4 inch deep. My soil is already pre-moistened, and I'll put 2 seeds per hole. The reason for that is just so that I would ensure that at least one of them germinates, and then I can thin it out afterward, allowing the healthier plant to continue germinating. Let me know in the comment section where you're growing and what varieties you are growing. Next up, Carolina Reaper. This is one of the hottest peppers in the world, so you need just a little bit to make a whole pot of pepper sauce. Next up is our chocolate habanero. I did not know that there were so many varieties in terms of color to the hot peppers as they are with the sweet peppers. Fun fact, there's actually a tribe in my country that eats their traditional food that consists of fresh hot pepper and boiled plantains. We have our orange habanero. When you're planting the pepper seeds, be sure to wash your hands afterwards. Don't rub any sensitive areas of your body because that's where the heat of the plant is. And the last one here is the red habanero. Okay, there you go. I'm going to cover my seeds, and I was labeling them as I was planting so I don't get confused at the end, not knowing where what was planted. So there you go. Our hot peppers have been planted, and I'm going to give them a light watering here, just enough to activate the seeds so they can start growing, but not too much where I saturate the ground and cause the seeds to rot. And then after that, I'll take this and put on a heat mat. So join me in a couple of weeks when I will post an update on how to take care of the pepper plants once they have sprouted. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you know anybody who might benefit from such information, please share the video. Also like and comment down below. That way we can learn from each other what we're growing and some of the tips and tricks in having an abundant harvest. Thanks for being here.